everybody, and welcome. Today, our special guest is Jacob. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Neha.
Absolutely. So Jacob and I have spent, the better part of a year and something, maybe a year and a half now, working together and, kind of talking through some pretty tough stuff. And so when you agreed to come on and ask some questions so other people could learn, I was all over that. So I'm just so glad you're here. What have you been thinking about? What do you want to ask about?
Yes, so I have, I've struggled with control kind of in my life. And, it served me really well sometimes and not so well in other times. And I was just kind of wondering about what, the right amount of control is.
That's a great question. It's a great question. So give me a time when you felt like you were in control, and then tell me where you find yourself out of control in your life. Like what arenas?
So a time that I was, really out of control was I was in college for about a year and a month or a month and a half or so. And I got really sick and had to come home and kind of, losing things that I could do with my body, losing my college life and, not being with my friends and not being able to do the kind of the routine that I was doing. It felt like I lost a lot of control there.
Yeah.
And actually kind of through the healing process of, learning how to get well and healing myself, I've really found some control in that with my environment, making sure that it's clean and healthy, what I eat, the treatments that I did, and even whether or not going back to school was the right thing for me, having the kind of feeling the power to make that decision kind of gave me a feeling that I was in control. So.
Wow. All right. So losing your health must have surprised you. Did it surprise you, or did you know it was coming?
I did not know it was coming. It was definitely surprising.
Okay. So when we get surprised, right, that's usually when things feel like they're out of control. You're driving down the road and somebody swerves and cuts you off. It's like, whoa, like that really fight or flight freeze feeling of like out of control. Nobody likes it, right? And so, of course, then you, and you're at college. Let's just talk about college for a minute.
Yeah, sure.
It's like, you're at home, you're in high school, the schedule's all given to you. Your parents tell you like how long you can hang out with your friends, what your curfew is, what your allowance is, when you can use the car, when you get grounded. There's like, if we were at a bowling alley, it's like the bumpers are up, right? Like the ball can't go in the gutter.
Yeah, for sure.
And so off you go to college, and one could argue that going to college is like, woohoo, like eat what you want, when you want, 2 a.m. pizza, like don't sleep if you don't want to, party all night, do whatever you want. No control, right?
Yeah.
There's no control. Those bumpers, they went down. And so in that space, right, to have all that freedom, right, and in that space, be surprised and shocked by how much you lose control. It can happen with academics. It can happen with your health, right? It can happen in so many arenas of one's life. So I think the example that you're giving about going off to college is like really occurs in any transition in life. New job, move to a new city, go to college, like everything changes, right? The people around you. So now you come home and you start speaking about gaining control, right? It almost feels to me like not only did you gain some control where you had the control the whole time, because when you said I wanted to live in a place that was clean, I thought college, opposite of clean. Like no one washes their clothes for like weeks. The bed sheets don't get changed ever. Right? And so you come back and you're like, oh, I had a choice. I could live where it was clean. I had a choice of what I would put in my mouth. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, dorm food at college. Like, gross. But good. Like mac and cheese every night and pizza and all this stuff. And, you know, anything you want, sugar and like go crazy. So it's really interesting because you had the choice the whole time. You just didn't know you had the choice. And coming home and getting sick, I would argue, gave you no choice.
Yeah.
do you see the play on that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So really, it was almost like you didn't realize you had choice. Your environment actually gave you so much freedom at school. You got sick, you were surprised, and all of a sudden, you didn't have any choice but to control your environment, your food, your healers, you know, the whole deal. But you actually just realized it was a choice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
You could have chosen to live in a different place, eat different things. All those options are at school too. You just have to find them and make them happen. You could have cooked, right? So control and letting go of control, how you look at them and what's the right amount. That was your question. And I think it's tricky. And that's why I started how I just started out, to show you how complex it can be. And really, I want you to remember that a weakness is just a strength overused. Control is a good thing. You want to be aware of your environment and cleanliness and your schedule and all of that. But when you overuse it, right? Overuse control. What'll happen is, like, let's say you started to control everything that went in your mouth and you would never go out to dinner even when your best friend came in from out of town and you had a chance to meet your best friend or do something amazing or meet new people or go on a trip abroad or whatever it is. You taking care of your health and making sure you fixed your food and all that, so important. But if you did it to the degree that you never went out, might you miss opportunities? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me, how have you experienced being at home in this light in doing that? Like, is there any time that you felt that?
Yeah, I probably a lot of times. I, definitely with the food and going places, I would, not go places because I didn't feel like comfortable enough to go there, and I guess in a way, like I made the choice to kind of stay safe in a way, in a word, and to a certain point that definitely helped me because it kept me from either getting sicker or whatever it may be. But at a certain point, I kind of realized that I was kind of cutting myself off from the world a little bit because of how I wanted to control everything.
Yeah, so it's like your fear that you're going to be surprised again, or if you go somewhere, it'll be dirty and you'll get sick again, right? And so there's this place in you that wanted to make sure your immune system could handle it, your body could handle the food you were putting in it, right? That you would be comfortable, that the air you would be breathing would be clean, and everything would support you getting well. All amazing intentions. Except if what happens is you become isolated, lonely, upset, and not having fun.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a big price to pay.
Yeah.
And so the real question becomes, can you heal, have an awareness of yourself? And really the most important thing, if you want to gauge control and what to do when you have too much of it and you want to pull back on it a little bit, it's all about trust. It's all about self-trust. You might think it's about trusting the environment and trusting other people, but all of those are actually about self-trust. The real question is, will you listen to your own intuition? Will you trust your own body when it gives you signals? Do you trust the wisdom and the knowing of your body to let you know if something's wrong? And will you pick up on those signs even earlier than last time?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. And,
If you will, if you agree with that, how are you going to do that? Like, what's different than when you were in college and now?
Well, I think the trust in myself is definitely kind of way, there's a lot more of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I'm in more alignment with myself and what I value and what I want to do. So when I make a choice, I know what I'm choosing and I know why I'm choosing it, instead of kind of just letting everything sort of be out of control in a sense.
You know what it sounds like, Jacob? Is it sounds like you were letting the outside world dictate your environment and the choices you were making. And now you use your inner world and how you feel to make choices about what you will engage in and what you will do. It's almost like you went outside in before, and so you couldn't trust anything because you would just go with the flow of where everybody else was going. And now you lead from the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen, I think there can be, all right, so there's control. There's the right amount of control for a certain amount of time. And then you'll know because you'll feel isolated. You'll feel lonely. You'll long for connection. So you'll know, oh, wow, I think I might be controlling my environment a little too much, right? Now, since you've been controlling everything, does that mean that nothing's ever gone wrong?
No, stuff happens all the time.
So how are you handling those surprises now?
I mean, now they're kind of just like pleasant surprises. There's always some great learning and lessons that come with them. And I actually I kind of get excited for when things kind of are unexpected and I don't know like what's happening and kind of what's going on, because I'm like, oh, this is a new opportunity for me to learn and grow and kind of let everything be out of control, and kind of realizing, hey, like I'm surviving, not just surviving, like it's, by definition out of control and I'm thriving in this. And it's just, really powerful to feel that now.
So even the way you're speaking right now comes from so much more self-confidence. Like it's incredible from the beginning of the video. Like I'm talking like I can feel it just like coming through you like with clarity, Mm-hmm. And so I really just want to say, what steps would you give someone watching? What would you tell them? So if you could just take a moment and think back to that self, that one a couple years ago that was really struggling, your younger self, the one that was so afraid of, surprised and shocked by what was happening. What advice would you give that person? Younger you.
I think, definitely the most important thing would be to really really learn about myself. Take the time and learn really what's going on inside me, like what gets me excited, what are sort of like pain points, if you will. What do I value? What do I want to control? All learning kind of the inner workings of me, or yeah,
Mhm.
learning that is really important in developing that self-trust, because you really have to look inward before you and figure out what's going on inside before you can kind of turn your gaze to the external environment. So that would be my advice to younger me.
Nice. Well, I think it's good advice, because the truth is, once you understand the inner workings of you, you know to yourself, like, hey, this is how much control I needed, and now I notice that I'm feeling isolated. I think I should pull back on that and kind of open myself up for connection. Or, you know what? Whoa, like I feel so like I'm on an emotional roller coaster. Like I need more control here so that I can get myself grounded again. So it sounds like what you've done in this time is you've gone inward. You've surrounded yourself with people that you think could help teach you about you. You've done some reading. You've done all these things, right, to learn about the inner workings of Jacob. And now, this gauging of less control, the right amount of control, too much control, that's all going to be taken care of by self-trust and listening to yourself and using your inner world as your navigation for your external world. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So go ahead.
So that's perfect.
Awesome. Well, so for any of you that know you struggle with the basically the idea of control, and that maybe you like having more of it because it makes your world more predictable and safe. But in the process, you've lost relationships, you've felt disconnected, sometimes you feel lonely. It might be time to evaluate what all in your life you're controlling and why. And it really sounds like, Jacob, you've done that. So I can't wait to see how you use this, go out in the world, let yourself take risks, and navigate that less controlled and ambiguous space, because that's what it takes to change the world.
Yeah, I'm certainly excited to do that myself.
All right. I can't wait to see. To be continued.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, Jacob.
Bye.